Holland bamboo.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me on this video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. So for this video, I'll be telling you how to get a registered land title. How do you go about applying for a registered title? As you know, the National Land Agency, they are actively going around the island and trying to get everybody who owns land to get it registered, because they say that 55% of Jamaicans who own the land do not have any titles to the land. So it's time for us to get those lands registered. You're trying to secure yourself and, of course, your grandchildren and your children, and of course all the generations to come, right? You have the information on the land that they may not have, right? Some of these lands were passed down from great grandmother to grandmother, and then to yourself, to mom, and then yourself. So you'll need information, and most of that information you will probably know more than your children, right? So it's time to get it done. It's better to do it now than to wait, because as you know, the quicker you do this, the better it is for you and your family, right? Because if the land is unregistered, you never know what can happen, right? So I'm going to go through the steps that you need to register your land. And just before I do that, I did a video about 6 months ago, and this was advising or suggesting to the Williams family in Geisel, St. Catherine. Alex Oldacre is helping them with that home, and of course he's doing a wonderful job. It's about 90% finished. I did mention in that video that it would be a good idea to sell a piece of the land that he owns to cover some of his expenses. Alex is saying that Mr. Williams will be selling a piece of the land. They're just trying to straighten out the paperwork. I guess his name is already on several pieces of lots. Some of them are in the remote areas and some is closer to the road, right? I just want to say kudos to the Williams family. There's nothing wrong in that. You are doing a wonderful thing. It's a good decision, by the way. Financially, remember, your home is an asset, right? It has value, a lot of value on it. So even if you sell a piece of the land to finish up what you need to get finished up and put furniture and maybe make a driveway and add another room for your son, things like that, there's nothing wrong in that. That's a good start. That's a good decision. I did mention that 6 months ago and in my video, and there are one or two negative comments, but for the most part it was positive. And now I'm seeing other people in the comment section saying, yes, it's a good idea. Please go ahead, do it. You can use it to buy furniture. You can use it to do your water tank and add another room, whatever you need to finish up, right? And you will have some bills, right? Because you're going to be now on the grid, the electricity and all of that, right? So very good decision. It's a good decision because the home is going to be an asset to you and your family, your kids and grandchildren, right? And there's no point to be in a home that is unsafe and broken down, water coming in on you. You can't get a good night's sleep. You don't want to invite friends over and all of that because you're embarrassed about where you live and everything like that. So now is the time that you could sell a piece of the property because it's worth a lot now. Land in Jamaica is very expensive. So if you sell a piece of the property, as I mentioned, and just a suggestion as always, it's something to look into. And now I see that Mr. Williams is doing this. I did suggest that half a year ago, if you go back and look at my old videos. So this is a wonderful thing. Your own, it's a good thing to be helping yourself, helping your family. Your son will be so proud. Yeah, so kudos to the Williams family for coming to this decision. It's only going to make things better for you, and you're going to be stronger financially. You're able to offer more, like help yourself along, maybe whatever you choose to do, maybe add another room, do all the finishing touches on the house and all of that. Probably you're going to need a water tank. There's so many little things that you probably need the money for, furniture and all of that, appliances, all of that, right? So that is a very good move. And of course you have to have money to meet certain bills when they come up, right? So we're going to move along right now into what is required. In Mr. Williams' case, his name is already on the documents. So whenever they go to the tax office, I think it's just going to be so much easier for them, because it's not like he has to start from scratch, right? Because his name is already on the property, right? So I guess he has some documents or the title of the land. So it's just about probably getting some more documents there as well in order to facilitate the sale of piece of the land, because now he has to transfer titles and all of that, right? So we're going to move right into what is required. Like if you have a piece of property, you've been living on it for a while, and you know that this piece of property is owned by you or your family, or was handed down from your family from generations way back, great-grandmother or great-great-grandmother, and come right up, or your mom handed it over to you, whatever the case is, and you've been living there but you don't have any title for this property, right? So let's go through what is required. So number one, these are the documents that you need to apply to register your land. The following documents must be submitted, right? So these are the documents you need. Number one, an application form prescribed by the Registration of Titles Act and signed by yourself, the applicant. So you need an application form, right? Number two, a statutory declaration by the applicant to prove possession. So a statutory declaration is a written statement confirmed by oath. So basically you're just going to be stating that, this is your home, you've lived there for X number of years, you purchased it for X amount, or it was handed over to you from your grandparents or whatever, and then you sign to that. So you'll be taking an oath to back up that statement, and then you sign to that oath. Number three, supporting statutory declarations to prove ownership from two persons who have known the land for at least 30 years and can verify ownership of the land throughout this period. It must be their personal knowledge of the history of the land. So two persons are going to be required to back up your statement, to say that they've known this piece of property for at least 30 years and they can verify the ownership throughout this period. They know that, Mr. Malcolm used to live here for 25 years, and then this person, he sold it to this person, or their grandparents used to live here, and the grandmother died, and then the mom was living here. Someone to back up what you've just said in your sworn statement. So number four, an up-to-date certificate of payment of property tax. So you have to be up to date on your property taxes. So simply mean you have to be paying the tax, the land tax, right? Number five, survey pre-check diagram if the land is being registered by plan. So an evaluator would be able to help you with the survey if the land is being registered by plan. So maybe it's required in some cases, and some cases you may not need it, a survey. Number 6, any other document that you may have that proves ownership. So if you have a receipt that you purchased this land, or your grandparents have the receipt, or a family member, a conveyance, a probate, right? Certificate of compliance under the Facilities for Titles Act. So any of those documents, something to bolster your oath that you've just taken to say that this is owned by you or your family members and it was passed down to you, right? Applications otherwise than by plan must describe the land. So in certain cases, you have to describe the land in the application. You know, every land has a name. Sometimes you give it a little name, and you have to put that name on there as well. That name is known throughout the community, right? So it must be describing the land so as to enable the identification of the location of the parcel on the ground by reference to a landmark. So maybe down at the hill bottom, or up on the hilltop, or around the bend, or something like that. And must state the names by which the property is known. The description must state the distances along each boundary and the compass direction of each boundary line, the names of the abutting property. So properties that are around your property, right? And the names of the adjoining owners, and where the abutting land is registered land. The title reference for the property. And number 8, final one, there may be other documents required depending on the facts of each respective case. Persons who wish to register land should therefore seek the assistance of a lawyer, right? So they're encouraging you to get a lawyer. So most times, from what I know from family members, they did not use a lawyer to register the title. But you can go to the tax office and they can direct you as well, right? Sometimes I think it may not be necessary to have a lawyer, but sometimes it would be necessary. So depending on the advice that they give you at the tax office, then you can go by that. So after the registration fees are paid and you submit your documents to the titles office, you'll be issued a dated official receipt stating a number on it, along with the name of the person who lodged the application, right? So, and then of course you stamp duty, transfer tax are payable to taxpayer audit and assessment department, right? And your application will go through a series of processes as prescribed by law. So, number 1, the documents will be checked. Number 2, the survey diagram will be sent to the survey department to check to ensure that the land is not yet registered and the plan is acceptable. So they're making sure that this land is not registered by someone else. Thereafter, all the documents will be submitted to the referee of titles for consideration. When your application has been approved by the referee, you'll be sent a notice, which you'll be directed to have published in a particular newspaper for a period decided by the referee of titles. So they did say the period would be from anywhere from 1 to 12 months, right? Certificate of title will be issued after the requisite time, directed by the referee for the same to be advertised in the newspaper, right? And if there's no caveat lodged against the application or no court action commenced, then the preparation of your certificate of title will begin. So if no one comes forward to say that, hey, this is my property, this belongs to my grandmother, or this belongs to me, one coming up against your application to say that this land belongs to them, then you're good. So it's time now to prepare the certificate of title, which will begin after you take in proof of the advertisement. So you have to take in proof that the newspaper pages, you have to cut that out and bring it into them. and the relevant advertisements pertaining to your application and the payment of the final fees. So once that is done, then your certificate of title will be issued if there's no concerns. So when you're doing all of this, of course, your TRN would be required, your identification, all of that is required. What you would need to register the land. And the National Land Agency, they're working very hard to get a lot of citizens' titles as quick as possible. So they're on board and willing and to help. So if you have any questions, any concerns, then they would be the best option, right? Because as I said, they are working to get everybody land titles. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. Hope I'm able to help with the information that I've provided. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Take care of yourself and others. Bye for now.